We live in a world of sound bites and fear, rhetoric and partisanship. In the ever-expanding dream to make things quick and simple and palatable, we have, as a culture, succumbed to an illusion that reduces the multiplicity of the world to us and them. Every voice has shrill response, and every heart and mind fall closed under its barrage. Our aims to alleviate the wrongs of society have only left us with an inadequate simplicity with which to recognize one another. By placing distance between ourselves and the other, we allow misunderstanding to lead to conflict, conflict to breed hatred, and hatred to reinforce our fears. Though in our very humanity we are driven towards violence, from within ourselves we hear a call from the better angels of our nature to overcome. Reductionism has played midwife to many of history's atrocities. When we fail to grasp the complexities of a person or a people, we rob them of their humanity, turning them into things, and things can be ignored and ultimately done away with. So many noble goals have broken under this weight. The nobility slowly vanishes, replaced by a driving need to maintain group identity at all costs. But if this is the fate of every human endeavor, if this is what awaits at the end of every golden path, what can we do? As the poet says, the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. How may we overcome this trope in human history?
Yet power can be wielded in a way that is fair, and justice can become the public face of love. Just power must come from a place of equality and understanding, and communication must be the bridge between the powerful and the powerless. We must find new songs to sing. New lines of communication must be opened, and we must learn to recognize that our essential humanity is bound with the humanity of the other. We are all alone in our perspectives, but when we come together in dialogue, we seek to escape the alienation of our points of view. Dialogue, though, is more than a collection of differing perspectives. It is a deep, genuine way to come to mutual decisions, discover a new level of understanding, and encounter others beyond caricature. Dialogue is a difficult task, but we must try. For when we engage one another in honest, deep communication, we see that what we lacked all along was the willingness to make ourselves vulnerable, and the willingness to embrace that which is unknown. We must find a way to be at peace with ambiguity, at peace with a world that does not fit easily into categories, and cannot be reduced to us and them.
And so he was able to frame the situation in a way that made the students realize that the people who they were perceiving as adversaries were perceiving them as adversaries, and it was for an equally insignificant reason. And that changed their perspective, and that's dialogue. I don't see dialogue as people simply talking to each other. For instance, when two people are talking, often if true listening isn't going on, the person who's supposed to be listening is really thinking about the next thing that he or she will say. And so a true dialogue is an instance in which people are really listening to each other and really wanting to understand the other person's perspective. And if, for instance, in a dialogue between two people, if neither of them come away from the dialogue feeling any different than they did about the issues before, then that's not dialogue. Dialogue is necessarily coming from a place of a little bit of vulnerability. And so when I go into a dialogue with somebody, I'm prepared to change the way that I feel about an issue or two. And I'm not going to go in pretending to or assuming to know everything that this other person is going to say. I'm willing to truly listen, which means to truly change my perspective. Along with being able to come into the situation with a mind that is not afraid of changing a bit, there is also almost a prerequisite that we not simply be polite to each other. In other words, it's very difficult to get into the heart of the matter if we're worried about offending the other party. And so we have to come into the situation understanding that if we're truly going to discuss these matters in any sort of substantive way, there is a possibility that we will be offended by the remarks of the other person. And that's something that we have to agree to at the very beginning. This is not easy work. It's not necessarily polite work. But if it's to work the way that it's supposed to, if it's to have its most reaching effect, it means that there are a few things that we have to concede in order for this to work.